Welcome back, IB Economics students. This video lecture today will be graphing the monopoly market structures. So we have gone over the characteristics of a monopoly, and in this video we're going to be graphing what the monopoly actually looks like when we're asked to graph this. Now, graphing a monopoly is really important, especially when it comes to paper 1 and for SLs and HL and paper 3 for HL students, because they will actually ask you to draw and actually decipher market structures. That is a very common question. So, unlike perfect competition, monopoly market structures only has one plane. That is because the monopoly is where a firm or a couple of firms, but one majority of firm dominates the majority of the market. Therefore, the firm is the market. In perfect monopolies or in pure or natural monopolies, the monopoly is the firm because there is actually the monopoly is the market because there's only one producing firm or one firm within the market. Okay, so this starts off with so we only have one firm, one plane instead of two planes for the perfect competition. So for the y-axis, we're gonna have price. Okay, we're gonna have price for the y-axis. That is very similar to the demand and supply curves. It is actually exactly the same as demand and supply curves. On the x-axis, we of course have quantity. Okay, so we have quantity on the x-axis and price on the y-axis. So what you want to do first is identify the demand. So the demand curve for monopolies is exactly the same as it is for drawing a demand and supply diagrams. Okay, so it starts off touching the the y-axis and then goes down. So this is the demand curve. Okay, I'm gonna write that in. So this curve right here, this is the demand. The demand curve is also equal to the average revenue. If you do not understand why average revenue is the demand curve, you have to be able to go back and review the lectures. I've gone through the lectures of why demand is equal to average revenue in previous lectures. But what you need to do is draw the demand curve. The next curve you want to draw is the marginal revenue curve. Now, remember, the marginal revenue curve is twice as steep as the average revenue curve, and then the marginal revenue curve can go negative. Okay, therefore, I'm going to draw it like this. So the marginal revenue curve starts at the exact same point as the average revenue. However, the marginal revenue curve goes twice as steep and it goes negative. Therefore, this curve is the marginal revenue curve. Okay, now so these are the two revenue curves. Okay, within monopoly there are two revenue curves and there are two cost curves. The revenue curve is the average revenue curve, that which slopes downwards, and it is also equal to the demand curve. Now, why does demand curve and average revenue curve slope downwards? Because of the law of demand. At higher prices, consumers are willing and able to buy less of the quantity of the good. However, at lower prices, consumers are willing and able to buy more of the good. Therefore, the demand curve or the average revenue curve for the monopoly market structure shifts downwards. Okay, the next curve we want to draw is a marginal cost curve. Now, remember, the marginal cost curve goes down and then go up again. This is the marginal cost curve. It's the Nike sweep sine curve. If you do not understand the marginal revenue curve, and if you don't understand why it is shaped like this, you really need to be able to go back and draw. But in a short review, the marginal revenue curve, the marginal cost curve goes down and come up again because of economies and diseconomies of scale. It has economies of scale, therefore the marginal cost decreases. However, because of this economies of scale, the marginal cost of production starts to increase. So that's the marginal cost curve. Our next curve we have to be able to draw is the average total cost curve, okay, or the ATC, or you could just abbreviate it as the total cost curve. So we're gonna remember, firms are producing at points where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. Why is that? Marginal cost, at the point at which marginal cost equals marginal revenue, profit maximization is occurred. So let me label this first really fast. So this is average total cost. So ATC, that's the ATC curve. Now that we have this all down, what does this graph, what does these actually tell us? Okay, what do these actually tell us? Now, first thing first, we have to identify the point of profit maximization. The point of maximization is when marginal cost intersects marginal revenue. So this point, that point is the point of profit maximization. Now, how do we know? So now that we have noted the quantity at profit maximization, what is the price at profit maximization? So this is the quantity at profit maximization. To get the price of profit maximization, we just link it back to the demand curve and then link it to the price. Okay. So at this quantity, okay, at Q1, we have profit maximization when it is sold at the price of P1. Okay, so at the price of P1 with a production quantity of Q1, profit maximization is occurred. Okay. Now, another thing to take note of is how much profit is this firm raking in. So we go on this profit maximization. We look at the profit maximizing quantity output. We come here and we link to the average total cost. We take the intersection between the profit maximization quantity and link it to the cost, to the y-axis. This box right here, this box that I'm highlighting right here, this box, okay, I'm gonna make this box blue, okay, this box right here, I'm gonna send this to the back, okay, this box right here shows the profit maximization. So this blue box right here shows profit maximization, and there's this so this box right here shows, okay, the quantity of profit that is gained by the firm. Now remember, because this blue box right here, not this part right here, the blue box right here shows the amount of profit the firm gains. Now remember, monopolies have long-term supernormal profits. Why do monopolies have long-term supernormal profits? Because of high barriers of entry and high barriers of exit. Okay, because of high barriers of entry and high barriers of exit, long-term supernormal profit is ensured and guaranteed, because new firms cannot enter the market to take away the profits, and the existing firms and that when there are losses, existing firms cannot leave. So if there are losses, then there will be long-term subnormal losses, right? And then this green section of the graph that I have just highlighted right here shows the deadweight loss. That is because it is not producing at the socially optimum quantity. It is not producing at the optimum quantity, therefore there will be a deadweight loss. Now, the deadweight loss has occurred because a monopoly is the only and the sole producer within the market. Okay, so I hope this video is helpful in clarifying how to graph the monopoly market structure and what it looks like in graphic form. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.